even to the drunk people in the back, can we have a big round of applause for Mariana Valencia, the final performance of the evening. And then there's going to be a tutorial. Don't worry about it. It will happen.
Hello, everyone. So let's get a hands up for anyone who's ever been to Mexico. Raise your hand. Oh, sorry. Raise your hand. Okay, great. Anyone been to Mexico City? Raise your hand. Very good. There's like a nice turnout of people who have been to Mexico City. Very good. So the last time I was in Mexico City was when I was researching this thing that happens in the street, which is people dance together, and it's called a sonidero. And this might be the most marginalized group of people I've had the privilege of being amongst. They don't have electricity, but they find electricity to make a party. They might not have running water, but they find running water. They might not have a toilet, but they find a toilet. They might not have dinner, but they find a dinner. They improvise. So who in the room is used to improvising? Very good, very good. Okay, something that they do at these parties is shout outs. So before I start my shout outs, I would like to read you a poem just to put you in the setting. So I wrote a sonidero poem. Poverty, sexuality, claiming space, taking space, interruption, spectacle, local fame, social following, being seen, belonging, shouting out, improvisation, incorporation, innovation. Who's familiar with these things? Innovation, very good. Kelly's raising her hand. The people are old, young, new, gay, trans, third sex, queens, kings. They eat, laugh, stare, smoke, huff, space out. The people are rich in collectivity, rich with each other, rich in cultural inheritance. They are who they are together. And when they arrive on the sonidero scene, they lift each other up. Everybody lift each other up. Notoriety, urban royalty, populist expressivity. We are who we are together. And when we arrive on the sonidero scene, what do? We lift each other up. Lift it up. Lift the roof. Lift the house. Lift the floor. Lift your feelings. Lift your wage. Lift your wage. Lift up your wage. All right, so like I said, something that happens at these parties are shout outs. So these are my shout outs, my rage shout outs. Shout out to my grandma for crossing the border twice. Shout out to my grandma again for serving people Thanksgiving dinner. I have a list of shout outs. 1 second. I'm a little busy. Shout out to all the caregivers, domestic and agricultural workers who help run everything. Shout out to all the kids who should try really hard not to repeat the grown-ups' mistakes. Shout out to making mistakes. And shout out to everyone in high school who made me prom queen. Shout out to everyone who said no and to everyone who said yes. Shout out to transmitting love. Shout out to being upset when someone isn't transmitting any love. Okay? Shout out to anyone who who's ever been a farm worker who makes a minimum wage of $10.32 an hour. Shout out to all the undocumented agricultural workers who work for whatever they are offered. Shout out to the bussers, bodega workers, back of the bar and kitchen staff. Shout out to the 10% of nurses who make no more than $21.56 an hour. Shout out to the domestic workers who clean your own homes. Shout out to my friend May in Chicago who makes $12.50 an hour as an EMT. Shout out to people who barter. Shout out to collectives. Shout out to work exchanges that are just. Shout out to all inmates who work for free. Shout out to cumbia music. Shout out to New York, to lesbians, to women, to some of the men. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to my dad who's dead. Shout out to dead people. Shout out to my uncle who works a janitorial job at a factory. You can turn off the music. Shout out to, who am I shouting out to? Shout out to people who clean public bathrooms. Shout out to them. Shout out to people who have brown skin. Shout out to people who fight for abortion rights. Shout out to DACA, to the sacred waters, to the incarcerated children. Shout out to having your basic needs met, to healthcare. Shout out to understanding and having consciousness about the fact that the United States is built on stolen land and on the labor of enslaved people. Shout out to remembering this daily. Shout out to the descendants of slaves. Shout out to the descendants of colonizers who feel some type of way about it. Very good. Shout out to my friends. Big ass shout out to Charlotte for loving me. Shout out to people. Oh, here's a good one. Shout out to the people who will clean this floor. Shout out to single parents. Shout out to people who take care of the elderly. Shout out to teachers. Shout out to people who are in debt because of their education. Shout out to the workers who work in hotel service. They work so hard to make your money spent well. Shout out to people who work 6 jobs. Shout out to people who work 1 job because you've made it. JK. Shout out to thinking that last one was a joke. Also, something about wage is something that I always ask for more of. I always like to ask for more of something, you know, like something that's tenable, like something like rice. Like, you know, if I ask, you know, does this wage come with more money? Usually wages don't come with more money. But if I ask, does this come with rice? Maybe a wage might come with some rice, you know, and it might be free. Like, it might actually be offered. Like, oh, yes, this fee is offered to you. It is just. And we will serve you rice. You never know. It's like when I go to the Thai restaurant. And when I go to the Thai restaurant, I like to order chicken pad Thai. And pad Thai noodles they're rice noodles. We might know this. They're gluten-free. And, you know, I like to order chicken pad Thai extra spicy with a side of peanut sauce. But I'm still that person who's like, does my chicken pad Thai extra spicy with a side of peanut sauce come with rice, you know? Or like when I go to the Indian restaurant and I like to order saag paneer. And saag paneer comes with rice. And they love to offer extra naan, so I say, sure, I'll take the naan, but could I have more rice, you know? It's a simple question. I want to know, does my wage come with rice? I want to know, does my wage come with rice? I love rice, any kind of rice. Brown rice, yellow rice, basmati rice. I want to know, does my pizza come with rice? Does my commission come with rice? I love rice, black rice, brown rice, even white rice. rice? Who likes rice? Or like that time I went to Serbia. The hotel bathroom was so fancy. It came with a bidet, a toilet, cold water, hot water, lots of towels. You could smoke in it. There was a sink in it. There was a phone in it. And I still was like, excuse me, sir, I just need to check in about this one thing about my bathroom. I want to know, does my bathroom come with rice? I love rice, any kind of rice. Yellow rice, fried rice, even white rice. I want to know, does my sound check come with rice? Does my microphone come with rice? I love rice, white rice, brown rice, even cold rice. Thank you. Shout out to Steiner, shout out to Lise, shout out to all of you, shout out to W.A.G.E, shout out to RAGER.